Good afternoon. Welcome to the Gold Awards. Thank you for being here today to honor many of our leaders in the disability community, and it is great to be back in full capacity. This event is possible because of our staff in the Governor's Office of Disability Affairs, KJ Henry, Lillian Dejean, and Alacia Vaillant. Congratulations to all the Gold Award winners. And thank you for your example of service and leadership in our community and in our state. Each year, as we go through the nominations and the process of selecting the Gold Award winners, I'm overwhelmed with emotion as I read through the outstanding nominations. Gold Award recipients understand the importance of their role in the communities and in our state. They have taken up the work of others before them, and they continue to push forward. They believe in the individual and collective ability to make a difference. The people we are recognizing here today know that we are to take nothing for granted. The progress we've made has been because of the hard work of disability advocates who chose not only to protect their rights, but to look out for the rights of others. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you for your example of service and leadership. Now it is my privilege to introduce our next speaker, who has always been a champion for people with disabilities. His presence at the Gold Awards every year and his support of the work that we are here today to honor demonstrates his commitment. Our accomplishments on disability issues during his administration is unmatched in the history of our state. It is an honor for me to present to you the governor of our great state, Governor John Bel Edwards.
Thank you. And thank you, Bambi, for the introduction, for your work. Thank all of you for being here, and welcome to the 2022 Gold Awards. It is nice to be back in person and without limitations here. Doesn't mean we're completely out of the woods and everybody's got a role to play in staying safe from COVID, but we are in a much better place. I do want to start with thanking Bambi for her for her work at the Office of Disability Affairs. Her leadership has been exceptional, and I want to thank everyone who works in that office. They all work so hard every day on behalf of Louisianans and to make sure that we are a more accessible and inclusive place. And we're glad to have current and former staff members who are here today to celebrate with us. And I think it's a testament to their commitment to this important work that they are here. And Bambi said that we're here to recognize and honor leaders in the disability community, but what she doesn't know is we're going to start by recognizing and honoring Bambi. So Bambi, come on up. So I'm going to read this real quick. Presented to Bambi Polizzola for many years of committed service to Louisiana's disability community, dated December the 7th, 2022. So in addition to Bambi, we're here today to honor some truly incredible individuals who represent the very best of the state of Louisiana. These awards are given to individuals who've been nominated because they go above and beyond every day to improve the lives of individuals with disabilities. And they represent a wide variety of our population. Some are self-advocates for themselves, for people who are similar to them, for their families. Some are volunteers and service providers. One, I'm very happy to say, is a veteran. Another is an elected official. Some are retired, but continue to serve and to advocate anyway. I do believe it's important that we take time to recognize these outstanding individuals, because otherwise their work would always be completely below the radar. So for just a few minutes today, we're going to put these people squarely on the radar. And I often say it because it's true. The people of Louisiana inspire me. No group of people inspire me more than the folks that we are talking about and honoring today. And in particular, it warms my heart that we have named one of the Gold Awards in memory of April Dunn. I think most people in this room remember April. You should have heard of her if you don't know her, because she had a tremendous impact on our state through her tireless advocacy. She was the very first person in my office who died of COVID shortly after the pandemic started, and it cut short her life and her work. But we are so glad that her mother, Jonette, is here today to present the April Dunn Youth of the Year Award. So please let's welcome Jonette. You know, many people never understand how fiercely individuals living with disabilities have to advocate for themselves and their families until it's one of their loved ones who is impacted and in need of assistance. And as Bambi told you, we have been engaged in this fight since the very beginning of our administration. There's always more to do. There's always lessons to be learned. There are best practices to be borrowed from elsewhere, improvements to be made, but I can tell you we have come a long way in the state of Louisiana over the last 7 years. And one of the things that was so instrumental to this effort is just getting our fiscal house in order and actually having a budget that reflects our values. So I appreciate everyone's help in making sure that that happened. We have been able to significantly raise rates for home and community-based waivers. And again, that's a stark contrast to when I first came into office. And those programs were at risk of being cut completely. We funded comprehensive dental services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And we are putting cameras in special education classrooms. Just a few of the steps that we've been able to take recently, and we certainly plan to do more. But to be clear, the progress that we have made, whether it's in our capital or in our communities, wouldn't be possible without the people in this room today. So again, thank you for your selfless work on behalf of Louisianans with disabilities, and I hope you and your families will have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I ask you to continue to pray for me and for our state as we move forward together. Thank you all so much, and God bless.
Governor, thank you. We know you have a busy schedule and have to leave, but thank you again for your leadership in showing up for the Gold Awards, for the disability community, and for the people of the state of Louisiana. Thank you. And we're so excited to not only have the current Governor's Office of Disability Affairs staff presenting awards today, but we also have past GOTA staff members. Dr. Melanie Washington, Jessica Lewis, and Jolyn Jolivet will be on the program because they will always be part of the team. So thank you guys for being here. And without further ado, we will begin our presentations.
Good afternoon again. I am going to present the first award, and that award is Family of the Year. This award is given in recognition of a family who has a family member or members with disabilities, and who, by involvement in the community and mutual support of one another, are an example of courage, strength, and unity for other families in Louisiana. Traditional and non-traditional families are encouraged to apply. Now I would like to welcome Jamie Jenkins from Volunteers of America of Greater Baton Rouge to introduce the award recipients.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is such an honor to present this award to this family. When I was asked to present this award and to keep what I had to say within 2 to 3 minutes, I was like, how? Because I could literally write a book about this family. But, for the sake of time and to remain respectful of the ceremony guidelines, I know that the Gold Award is an acronym for Governor's Outstanding Leadership in Disabilities, but if we could just for a moment in time change that acronym to try to capture the just awesomeness of this family. The G would be for genuine. Miss Pam and Mr. Mike are two of the most genuine people that I know. They're not pretentious. They're not superficial people. They don't look for accolades, acknowledgments, awards. As a matter of fact, this award ceremony probably has them highly uncomfortable right now. But they do what they do simply because, as Ms. Pam would say, because they're human. And, because they're human, they do what they do. And if more people did more human-like things, we really wouldn't have a need for ceremonies like these because it would just be the norm. The O would be for organized chaos. They are raising 5 kids, 4 of which have disabilities, and as you can all imagine, it probably gets a little chaotic. But they are skilled at having an environment or creating an environment for these children with all their needs to thrive, to explore, experience, to create, to live, to grow, to learn. And they do it in such excellence, with structure. Nothing goes unnoticed, unmet, undone. Every academic need, physical need, medical need, it is done above and beyond. The L will be for love personified. This family gives life, meaning, and action to the word love, period. And the D would be for dedication. Their dedication is unmatched. They navigated the 2016 flood just like many of us in this room. They had to find alternative housing, get accommodations for children and their medical equipment, and they did it effortlessly. They hunkered down, they gathered their resources, they gathered their support systems, they powered through. They're navigating this pandemic just like all of us in this room. They never asked for removal of one child. They never said they were overwhelmed, they couldn't do it anymore. They hunkered down, they gathered their resources, their support systems, and they powered through. I feel unworthy to present this award, quite honestly, but it is an honor to present this award to you, Mr. Mike. Ms. Pam, Cole, thank you for lending your parents to us for all these years. I love you, thank you, and congratulations.
Hi. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks everyone for your part in all of this. Mike and I will probably overlap in what we have to say, and that's usually the case at home as well, so that's okay. I'd like to thank all of the folks whose love and support throughout the years have made our life of service possible and better. I'd like to accept the award on behalf of all of the children, not only in our home, but also around the state, who are living foster care and adoptive care lives. They deserve everything we have to give, and they deserve much more than we are able to give. I would like to dedicate the award to our son Colt, who's the best big brother and son that anyone could ever hope for. And I'd also like to dedicate it to our late son, Park, whose very short life gave us the strength and gave us the skills to live our life of service, this life that we live begrudgingly without him. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Not much to say after Jamie and my wife Pam. I would like to thank the governor who has supported the disability community throughout his whole term. Bambi and her staff at the Disability Affairs Office, how they manage that program and keep things going has been so supportive of individuals and families with disabilities. And I think they've done a great job, awesome job. Appreciate them every day. I can't name all the workers who we have had with us over the years with DCFS, Volunteers of America, and CASA workers, but we've had nothing but outstanding support from those folks. And we look forward to many more years of being foster parents. And I too would like to thank our son Colt. Colt was 8 years old when we started foster care. So all of a sudden, attention's diverted from Colt. New kids coming in the house who have special needs and requirements. And let me tell you, Colt never missed a beat. Never complained. Has always been the greatest brother to every child that's been in her house. So thank y'all very much. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon. The next award is Elected Official of the Year. This award is given in recognition of extraordinary service by an elected official that has substantially supported or enhanced the opportunities for people with disabilities. This year's recipient is Representative Rodney Lyons. Nicole Williams from Families Helping Families of New Orleans nominated Representative Lyons, but she was not able to attend today. Nicole shared that she nominated Representative Lyons because of his awesome work in and for the disability community, and he is always willing to meet and help out regarding disability issues. Not only is he responsive, Representative Lyons is always attuned to the issues being discussed in the legislature and speaks up on the implications the issues may have on the disability community. Whether it be accessibility, funding, voting, inclusion, he doesn't need prompting or request. He understands the needs of the disability community and is always a reliable, supportive voice. The disability community knows they can count on Representative Lyons, and that is why he he was selected as the elected official of the year.
Thank you for this moment. I want to thank the Office of Disability Affairs for all the work that they do. It's a task, but it's a rewarding task. And I want to ask you to keep Ms. Nicole Williams in your prayers. She's not feeling well today, so she couldn't be here today. So I don't want to forget about her because she's a staunch advocate, and it's a delight working with her. Over the years, when we come into an office, as I am today, it always it makes it easier when you fight for people and things that you are a part of. I always, not always, but I've mentioned on several occasions to everyone and my colleagues that one of my lead motivations was I have an autistic nephew, nonverbal, and he's a wonderful, delightful young man. And I understand and live all of the things that he goes through every day. So I have a connection to everyone here. So we understand what the road is, and we're totally prepared to do it. And I have a passion for the advocacy for what we work for. And again, I just want to thank you for all this opportunity to be here. I'm not really one for accolades because the work never ends. But again, thank you all very much.
The next award is the Direct Support Professional of the Year. This award is given to a person who is in recognition of extraordinary service by a direct support professional that has substantially enhanced the life for people with disabilities to live more independently and productive, as well as support self-determination and individual development. Now, I would like to welcome Ryan Craig from Art of Caddo Bossier to introduce the award recipient.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the introduction and give honor to Governor Bell and represent to the nominating committee and Office of Student Affairs. It gives me a great honor to stand today and to present this next young lady to you, who I don't have the words to express how honored we are to say that she is a part of the Art Caddo Bossier. I think it goes without saying that her work truly has spoke for her as we are here today to receive this great honor. It is often said that the recipients that we are privileged to serve are blessed to have us. We usually like to turn that around and say we are blessed to have them, because we truly believe in the words of Jesus himself when he said, "What you do unto the least of these, you do unto me." And so that's our mantra at the Art Caddo. So on behalf of our board and staff, our executive director, Ms. Kristen Powers, and our entire management team, I'd like to proceed with the following presentation. I decided to yield the time that I was given to the mother of the recipient who was the nominator for this award, and I will read to you her nomination letter. It says, "Rodrika is a dedicated and amazing caregiver. Although she works for my son for many hours per week, she also cares for others, and I'm sure that she provides them with the same attention and love that she gives them. Though she is a young woman, she has been devoted to this work since becoming old enough to work. She constantly goes above and beyond her job duties. She takes the initiative to throw a lovely party for Jeremy every year with all the trimmings, right down to happy birthday, Jeremy, and labels on the soft drinks. Although I help to fund it, she does almost all of the work. Rodrika even made it possible for us to celebrate during COVID, despite the fact of not being able to invite many guests to attend. She cooks for him on major holidays to ensure that he can enjoy a holiday meal, and always invites me to the feast. Although my son is non-ambulatory, He has never had any issue with pressure sores or any other signs of physical neglect. I am elderly and can only provide a limited amount of support, which is generally during the time that he is hospitalized. Even during those unfortunate occasions, Rodrigo will still come to the hospital and provide me with relief. Rodrigo keeps his home surroundings looking nice, buys his clothes, shops for his food. I can never thank her enough. While I love and appreciate all of Jeremy direct support professionals, she has been our anchor for the past 8 years, and I hope she never ever has to leave us. Jeremy and I are so blessed to have Rodrigo in. This comes from the mother of the recipient, Miss Diane Woodward. Rodrigo in.
Hello, everyone. I would like to give honor to Governor Edwards and all the state's officials. I want to give thanks to Ms. Diane Woodward for nominating me and entrusting me. This is truly a humble and grateful experience to accepting this award. It has and yet still is a great pleasure to serve and assist the consumer I work with daily. Nothing thrills me more than assisting them with their daily tasks and challenges. I make sure they conquer their tasks and goals. I also like to express my gratitude to the supervisor of the Arc of Cattle Boundary. They have made my journey here easy. I want to say thanks and with the great pleasure to keep assisting the consumers in the near future. Thank you.
The next award is the Educator of the Year Award. This award is given in recognition of an outstanding individual who has contributed significantly in educating people with disabilities in our community. Now, I would like to welcome Dr. Lauren Mayfield to introduce the award recipient.
It is with great pleasure that I introduce Dr. Charlie Michel, the Educator of the Year, and I hope I can do justice to the lifetime of dedication to children with disabilities that he has lived with such intelligence, persistence, innovation, and general caring. Charlie began his career as a special education teacher in Lafourche Parish in 1984, and he continued that role in Texas. Always striving for the best opportunity for his students, he broke a very significant barrier in Katy, Texas, when he assisted in the creation and implementation of the very first inclusion program for the students in a Texas elementary school in 1992. He didn't stop there, though. He went on to do the same thing in 1999 and 2005 in 2 Texas middle schools, in which he also implemented the very first inclusion program. What is most striking to me is that he ended this segregation of our students with disabilities in those last schools, not as a special ed teacher, but as a principal. And that is not the norm. I have never seen that before in my 35 years of education. As a testimony to the power of inclusion and to Charlie's vision and leadership, he brought those schools from the Texas rating of acceptable or average, first to recognized, and then to exemplary, which is the highest rating. When Charlie returned to Louisiana in 2006, he served as a principal, then assistant deputy superintendent of accountability for the Recovery School District, and finally he became the director of special ed for Lafourche Parish, a position he held until his retirement from that position in 2018. When Charlie served as an officer of LACIA, the professional organization of district special education directors, during my tenure as president, Charlie helped me see the value in opposing opinions. and the value in appreciating and respecting the other human being behind the opposition. Because of this quality, Charlie has a wonderful talent to inspire people to work towards consensus, just as long as they have the welfare of our children front and center. As a special ed director and LaCia officer, Charlie never backed down from a challenge. He brought his strong curriculum, technology, and fiscal knowledge to bear, not only on every decision he made to improve services to the students of Lafourche, but to students all around the state, as he served on multiple state advisory committees, and he is currently serving on the LDOE's Related Service Advisory Commission. While he is a visionary in terms of striving for improvement in the lives of students, he's also a realist. Charlie has a fundamental understanding of the need to lead rather than to push people down the road to more effective services and improved outcomes. And in his years as a director, he earned the respect and admiration of his peers statewide. Beyond the diversity of his experience, the quickness of his wit, and his ability to inspire those he leads to work together for the ultimate benefit of every student, I most admire his personal integrity and strength of character. Charlie and his wife Paula, who is here today, have raised two amazing children with disabilities, one of whom was adopted. But his advocacy for them was never any different than his advocacy for all the children of the state. His newest position, Executive Director of Bayou Land Families Helping Families since 2018, is the perfect continuation of what Charlie has spent his professional life doing. Listening to and empathizing with the struggles of both our parents and our educators who want equity for our students. Facilitating understanding of all sides of an issue, and then advocating for the very best opportunities and services possible for our children with disabilities. And currently, Charlie is doing that by delivering trainings on Section 504 all over the state. Throughout the diversity of Charlie's experience as an educator, an administrator, and a parent, one thing has never changed. Our children have always been at the very center of whatever Charlie does. Charlie.
First off, let me just say, if I knew I was that good, Lorena, I'd ask for a raise. All right, now we'll get serious. First off, I do want to thank the governor and his committee and his team for nominating, for accepting me as the recipient of this reward. It does mean a lot. I want to thank Lorraine for nominating me. For the last 15 years, we've been pushing each other past our limits of comfort repeatedly, and I think that's the reason that we both had a measure of success in our fields. And I want to thank my wife of 45 years, Paula. We have walked hand in hand through the maze of disability community, the programs that are available, the services that are available, the services that are not, and we didn't have a clue what we were doing. Sometimes she was pulling me along hand in hand, and sometimes I was pulling her along. But we made it through the myriad of disabilities. But I also want to be grateful for the myriad of disabilities that we've had to deal with in our adult life. You know, that sounds like an odd thing to say, but when our first child died, I was a relative. We were both children ourselves. We were in our early 20s. And that made me reflect on where I was in life and what I wanted to accomplish out of life. And because of that reflection, I decided I had to move from being a college dropout to a college graduate. And I was able to do that. A few months after our second child was born, our son, I got my bachelor's degree in psychology. Then, and I'm supposed to be reading this and I can't. So we're doing that, and a year later, we were told that he had muscular dystrophy and he had months to live. You can imagine how that was. So we went through life, we went through that part thinking, well, you know, He's not going to make it for a few years, so we're not going to do anything with school or anything. Let's just make his life happy. Then he was 4 years old, and I looked at Paul and I said, he looks kind of healthy. He might be here for a while. We need to start thinking about what we're going to do for his future. So we did. But I had become a special ed teacher when he was diagnosed. I went to school to start teaching because I honestly believed that the best way to fight a system was from inside the system. So I learned the system. What I didn't realize was how the whole diagnosis of muscular dystrophy would change my life path and my career path. And then about 2 years later, our daughter came into our life. She was adopted. She was a year old, and 2 years later, she was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. So the bottom line was now we had 2 children who both needed us to know what we could do to help them so that their educational and life opportunities were not compromised. So over the past 40 years, we have been working, we have done everything we could do. We made sacrifices. Paula often offered to and agreed to work more so we could have more money, so I could work less and go to school, so we could pay our way through school, so we could learn these things. So I was working multiple jobs. She was working. We had kids that had disabilities. We were trying to navigate the system. So over the next several years, I earned a master's degree in educational administration and then a doctorate in educational supervision and educational leadership. So for the last 40 years, my job has changed many times, but my role has remained constant. I, like all educators are supposed to be, am an advocate for children with disabilities first and foremost. But it's what I've learned as a parent that has surprised me. No matter how horrible an event is at the time, if you work through it, go around it, go under it, go over it, do what you have to do to get past it, something good will almost always come out of that. And I'd like to say that this award is the good that's come from all of the disability-related angst Paula and I have endured over the years, but that truly isn't accurate. While it is an honor, the true pot of gold at the end of our rainbow, for me at least, was the journey that has led us to this place at this time on this day. I've met and worked with some Go ahead, I'm good with that. Although it's not going to count as part of my 7 minutes. I'm so sorry, I lost my place. Over the years, I've met and worked with such wonderful people, and that's important to note because I've learned from them, and hopefully I've taught them some things. Today, my kids are happy and healthy, relatively speaking. Adults. Craig is 42, so yes, the doctors missed it by that much, by 40 years. He's got a college degree. He is doing fine health-wise, and our daughter is 39, and she would hate me saying her age, but by all accounts, she is a very successful and talented esthetician. So I'm going to ask you that no matter how difficult the situation, try to get through it, because you don't know what's going to be at the end of you enduring that. And for Paula and me, it's our adult kids. We enjoy them, we love them, and don't get me wrong, we love when they visit us, but when they're going home, we like that too. So I do want to thank you all for the honor, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you, and y'all all have a very great holiday season.
Our next award is the Employer of the Year Award. This award is given in recognition of outstanding achievement in providing integrated, competitive employment and career opportunities for people with disabilities. Now I would like to welcome Dave Lynn Patrick to introduce the award recipient.
Good afternoon. It is my pleasure to introduce Susan Reen, the Executive Director of Families Helping Families of Southwest Louisiana. Ms. Reen was nominated for Employer of the Year Gold Award for providing employment opportunities for people with disabilities across the state. Ms. Reen has always hired the best person for the job, and many times that has been a person with a disability. She believes that everyone deserves an equal chance. Within the main office in Lake Charles, there are many staff with disabilities that Susan employs and makes accommodations for and with on a weekly basis. Everyone works as a team. Similarly, with the staff across the state, people with disabilities are on an equal basis in the hiring process, then accommodations are made as needed. Because of this attitude of inclusion and integration in work, there are a large number of staff with disabilities at Families Helping Families of Southwest Louisiana. She is available during office hours and outside of office hours to help and problem solve when there is a need. Ms. Reen serves on committees and participates in many meetings concerning adults with disabilities and their participation in everyday life. Hiring and working with people with disabilities is just a natural extension of the work that Ms. Reen does. The Families Helping Families staff is proud to introduce Susan Reen as the recipient of the Employer of the Year Award for 2022.
Good afternoon. I'm going to be brief, thanks to Charlie. I think he went over 7 minutes. I was going to say I'm going to give him my 7 minutes, but you know. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Melinda Elliott, first of all, for she's the staff person that nominated me. And I'm truly honored for this, but I don't necessarily feel like I deserve it, because I feel like I'm just doing everything that I should be doing to respect people, to honor them, to accommodate them, so we can all work and give what we need to give to the communities. You know, my mentor, who was the director before I was at Families Helping Families, told me that we are all temporarily able-bodied. And when I first started, I was 30, I think I was 31. Anyway, I didn't realize what she meant, but now I know. So we all need to be treated with respect. We all need accommodations, and that's what I do. And I accept this award on behalf of the staff of Families Helping Families of Southwest Louisiana and the board, for without them, I couldn't do what I do every day. So thank you very much.
The next award is the Public Servant of the Year Award. This award is given to a government employee in recognition of outstanding achievement and hard work and dedication service for people with disabilities. Now, I would like to welcome Dr. Jim Mitchell to introduce the award recipient.
Thank you. Thanks to Bambi and her staff and the governor for the opportunity to do this. I am really humbled by John when it became an opportunity to nominate John. I called Bambi and said, what am I nominating for? He qualifies for just about every one of these categories. We settled on Public Servant of the Year, and I think John's name is synonymous with public service. In fact, I think we ought to name the award after him at some point here in the future. But honestly, I just can't think of anybody who spent as much time working with, shoulder to shoulder, for people with disabilities. And I am just so proud to be here and proud to say, ich bin ein Schweizer Freunde. I am John Schweitzer's friend.
There's no higher honor than to be recognized by your professional peers and friends and those that we serve. I want to thank especially Governor John Bel Edwards for being here personally to visit with us today and share some of these great stories that we've heard. I also want to thank my agency, Louisiana Rehabilitation Services, for giving me an opportunity to serve in several different capacities over the last 43 years. LRS is deeply entwined with the gold awards and functions that Bambi and her staff, Lillian and Jessica, and I see Joe Long, who used to be with us over there, and did the Air Force thing, huh? So it's a wonderful group to be a part of and to be recognized by them. This event is overwhelming. LRS is represented today by 3 or more of the leaders. We have Melissa Baham, who is the director of LRS. She operates in every one of the 64 parishes. We have 8 offices. She has several hundred professional counselors that work with us and provide services to the whole state. Her assistant director, Dr. Ken York, has always been a spiritual mentor to me since even before I came to the state office in 2005. And Candy Baker, with no negative reflection on any of my previous bosses, you were the best boss I've ever had, because we got through COVID together and rebuilt our assistive technology program literally from scratch in the last several years. I want you to know a little bit about the history of this program. I'm going to introduce a new word. It's called prosumer. And the idea goes back to 1980 when somebody said, hey, we need to get the consumer closer to the producer so that the quality of services is something they really need. Dr. Mitchell, who is the guru for GIS, one of his pet peeves is engineers and experts that design things that people don't use. So the idea of producer-consumer is part of the Gold Awards. When I first got involved with rehabilitation, it was at Louisiana Tech University in 1979. And I was a young 35-year-old post-Air Force officer. I thought I could do anything. But I was challenged to my very core to set up a dormitory program for 10 to 12 college students who were consumers. And a consumer in those days was a learning process because we did not have affordable housing or accessible housing. We did not have accessibility jobs. This was many years before ADA. So we were tasked with trying to figure out during the 4 years or 5 years that it took them to do a college plan, how we would deal with that in the future. So we came up with something in 1973 called the Rehabilitation Act, which built out over 100-year history of rehabilitation services. It goes back to the Smith-Fess Act of 1920. It began with returning vets who lost limbs or disability during the World War I, but it was then added in 1920 to include all citizens of the United States. So our dormitory program was a test bed for LRS to use this new technology. And so we developed the ability to assess people for seating and positioning, using the best people in rehab engineering and technology and therapy, physical therapy. Because of that opportunity to create engineering services, we were able to help people like Ken Vince and Patsy Barrett become producer, not just consumers, but prosumers, producer and consumer together. So what they were able to do was to establish this award program. Patsy Barrett is a good friend of mine. Ken Vince actually monitored my dormitory program for quite a few years. And so it's been just an absolute blessing to be a part of this organization. Everyone who has family or friends, you realize that we are only a heartbeat away from being disabled ourselves. So what a wonderful opportunity. I wish you all the very best in your work, in your careers, and it's just been an honor. Maybe if I've left anybody else, I have a 4-page speech that I wrote. My good friends, Gary Mathern, Charles Tate, J.D. Lyford, Bo Ellerby. Amy Dawson came into this organization as part of one of the functions that we developed called MDAC, Emergency Management for Aging Disabled Coalition. right after Katrina, and we've never lost the importance of that. And again, let me commend Governor John Bell Edwards for his leadership. I've worked under many governors. We've never had a more involved, concerned, and functional leader than Governor Edwards. I would like to put in a plug for higher raise salaries for our counselors. And I understand Melissa told me that they're working on that with the civil service. The other thing I would like to do is to have all of you think about how we can make the funding broader for more Louisiana citizens. Because of the lack of matching funds, we sometimes are not able to serve as many people as we could. And so we need to figure out how to do that. And I think this organization can help with your advocacy and the leadership that we have in this administration. So thank you very much.
Next award is the Service Provider Award. This award is given in recognition of service above and beyond the call of duty by an individual or organizational provider of services to people with disabilities. Now I would like to welcome Julio Galen from the Family and Youth Counseling Agency to introduce the award recipient.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. How about another round of applause for these amazing stories and individuals? It is really hard for me to introduce when I'm accepting the award, so I will do my best. And so to start, Family and Youth Counseling Agency was established in 1970 by a great group of ladies known as the Junior League of Lake Charles. The agency was established for the purpose of providing professional and affordable counseling services in Southwest Louisiana. Fast forward from 1970 to now, 50 years later plus, Family and Youth Counseling Agency has been able to integrate, incorporate, and bring together several nonprofit organizations under one umbrella. 8 divisions right now: the Shannon Cox Counseling Center, the Human Services Response Institute, the Children's Advocacy Center, Performance EAP, the Children and Families Action Network, the Leadership Center for Youth, CASA, Court-Appointed Special Advocates, and Autism Support Alliance. It is our belief that everything we do to provide services, great services for people in our communities, we must look at everything through an equity and inclusion lens. So since then, the organization began to provide education services to our nonprofit organizations in the community, leading to the establishment of Connections Count Conference, delivered in Southwest Louisiana for over 300 providers in the region. Today, we're just beginning the planning process for the Governor's Conference on Juvenile Justice, a conference that will provide education, training, and awareness for folks working in the juvenile justice field. Again, the idea of the organization is that if we can integrate, if we can make all of these services available under one umbrella, the continuum of care will be much better. I do want to thank, though, Bambi for the leadership that she's provided to this office. And again, I want to thank the governor of the state of Louisiana John Bell Edwards, because he has taken the initiative and the courage to advocate and provide solutions and services to the people that you know, to the people that we serve. Finally, I want to say thank you to the staff of Family and Youth Counseling Agency, an amazing group of people, courageous and passionate about the work that they do every single day. The board of directors provide an amazing leadership, and we cannot do this work without the entire group of volunteers, 240 CASA volunteers providing services and advocating on behalf of our most vulnerable children of the state of Louisiana. So on behalf of the board of directors, our staff, and most importantly, the people that we serve, thank you so much for this amazing recognition.
The next award is the Veteran of the Year Award. This award is given in recognition of a veteran with a disability who has served honorably in the United States Armed Forces and has a record of exemplary service in the disability community. Now, I would like to welcome Julie Baxter Payer from the Louisiana Department of Veteran Affairs to introduce the award recipient.
Good afternoon. In 2016, Billy Glenn Robbins was promoted to become LDVA's first cemetery program director, but his story with Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs didn't begin there. Billy Robbins was honorably discharged from the United States Air Force as a sergeant. He served his country honorably from September 1967 to May 1971, including nearly a year and a half spent serving overseas, including in Okinawa. He was awarded the National Defense Service Medal and the Small Arms Expert Marksmanship Ribbon. After working for Delta Airlines for many years, Billy served 8 years at the Georgia Department of Veterans Affairs, counseling military veterans and their families on how to receive their federal and state benefits. As an ordained minister in Georgia, Billy also served for many years as the director of jail and prison ministries for Sunrise Baptist Church in Noonan, Georgia, and he began serving with the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs in 2014 as a Veterans Assistance Counselor in Ascension Parish. And Billy, we've never been the same since. The kinds of disabilities that we often encounter in Veterans Affairs are those that the United States Department of Veterans Affairs has designated as service-connected, meaning that they were incurred during the veteran's military service. These disabilities may be anything from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and many attendant mental health disabilities, hearing loss, hypertension, and many other cancer diagnoses, COPD, and other medical disabilities. For example, the PACT Act that you might have heard of recently was just passed, adding 31 new presumptive conditions that, if they're incurred during military service, can be connected by the federal VA as service-related. And in that case, the federal VA will assist in paying for the treatment of those disabilities. Also, if service-connected, these conditions may entitle a veteran to payments each month as compensation for the disability that they incurred while serving their country. So accredited veteran services counselors in positions such as Billy served in for decades, both in Georgia and here in Louisiana, they assist in helping veterans file claims with the federal VA to determine whether disabilities they have may be service-connected. And this, in turn, assists those veterans in helping to receive the proper health care that they need, and also to support their families from month to month if these disabilities have impacted their ability to work. So in 2016, Billy was promoted to become LDVA's first statewide cemetery program director, managing the operation and ongoing construction projects at 5 LDVA veteran cemeteries around the state. In 2018, Billy's job was expanded to include the beginning of an incarcerated veterans program, and that is a program that Billy had long had a passion in which to serve. A disabled veteran himself, Billy's duties in his new position included counseling incarcerated veterans on benefits available to them and their dependents, and also serving as a liaison with coroner's offices around the state for the internment of unclaimed veterans who had no family. So Billy still today visits disabled veterans in prisons and provides the very important service of helping these veterans to connect with an accredited counselor to receive apportionments noted in their files. This means that the veteran's service-connected pay drops to 10% of what they're eligible for while they're in prison, and the balance for which they would normally be eligible can be sent to their family during the time they're incarcerated with the help of a counselor like Billy. And this keeps the veteran from incurring a large debt to the federal VA, which could be crippling when they come out. Billy assists these veterans, now still even, in helping to connect them to accredited counselors at the LDVA and other places, and in preparing to help them to file for an apportionment and to restart their service-connected pay coming to them when they're released back into the community. And Billy coordinates with our LDVA Incarcerated Veterans Liaison to help make sure that these disabled veterans are served. This in turn helps them to cut recidivism when they come out of prison due to the economic assistance that they are able to have and that their families can receive while they're in prison, and helping to make these veterans and their families more financially stable. After nearly 7 years with LDVA, Billy retired from state service to try to find more time to go fishing. He is married to Gail Robbins, whom he loves dearly, and his sons and his grandchildren are the light of his life. In between pickleball games, at which he says his skill is improving, Billy still continues every day to work to make sure that any veteran he meets is able to find their closest LDVA Veterans Assistance Counselor's office to be able to access every state and federal benefit that they have earned through their military service. All of this work now is for Billy volunteer, and he continues with a minister's heart to take every opportunity to counsel hurting disabled veterans and to help connect each veteran to other veterans, which is of the utmost importance in helping a veteran home from service to feel connected and to find their purpose again. Anyone who knows Billy, I think, loves Billy, and he will make sure that any day spending time with him is a memorable one. Billy personifies the mission that all veterans live to accomplish. He will leave no fellow veteran behind. Please help me congratulate Billy.
Wow. I'm an emotional person. I never felt like I would get this award. I don't feel worthy of this award. I'm so honored to be among all of y'all, especially y'all, taking care of your family. I'm honored to work with veterans, have been in Georgia and then here in Louisiana. I'm honored to work with Governor Edwards, who has been such a staunch advocate for our veteran population. Bambi, I thank you for this. I'll tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen. The veterans of our country deserve everything that they get, all the benefits they get. And the problem is we can't find all of those that are deserving of that. We have so many disabled people around the country that do not know what benefits they're eligible for. And that's our job at the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs, to help find those people, to network, to let everybody know what we can do for them, how we can try to help them. And we do our best to help every eligible vet get their benefits, whether they're incarcerated in prison whether they're homeless on the streets of Baton Rouge or New Orleans or where it may be. But I'm just proud to have worked for such a great department. Julie, Dustin, Kate, I can't tell you the support I got there. I was probably not qualified to do the job that I did, but with so much support, I was able to do it. And I just appreciate them. I appreciate my bride, Gail, who we've been married 54 years. And you might understand that when you're in prison ministry, it's not something that you come home early from, that you visit long days and you visit over the weekend and you visit late at night. But Gail has been there since 1969 and 54 years, and she supported my work, the work of the department. I just want to thank everybody. I'm honored to accept this award. Thank you so much.
The next award is the Ken Vince Memorial Award. Ken Vince was a rehabilitation counselor who touched the lives of hundreds of people in Louisiana through his advocacy for people with disabilities. His commitment generated a greater public awareness of the needs of people with disabilities and fostered a greater participation in society for the disability community. Now I would like to welcome Dee Budgewater from Lighthouse, Louisiana to introduce the award.
Good afternoon. Unfortunately, Dee Budgewater, President and CEO of Lighthouse Louisiana, could not be with us today. I'm Shayna Luke, a colleague and friend of David Green from Lighthouse Louisiana. David has been employed with the Lighthouse for more than 18 years, and he continually advocates for positive changes that improves the lives of those with disabilities. His advocacy stretches far and wide. From developing a tandem bike program where those who are visually impaired can experience the joy of riding a bicycle, to serving on the Ride New Orleans board with the goal of developing an accessible and adequate, the joy of riding to serving the Ride New Orleans board with the goal of developing an accessible and equitable transit system for all. David's energy and passion are a clear example of his dedication to helping others live their lives. It is my esteemed pleasure to introduce the Ken Vince Memorial Award recipient of 2022, Mr. David Green.
First, I want to say thank you to Shayna. This was a last-minute thing that was put on her, and thank you for doing an excellent job presenting me today. First, I want to thank the governor for being here, and also want to let him know he really made me look good on the picture. Thank you. I'm going to make new friends after today. And also, first, would like to thank my family, and my sister Tammy especially, who is blind as well. We come from a family of 7, and 2 of us developed a disease called retinitis pigmentosa. And a lot of people will say, oh, poor family, you know, those 2 are blind. But that's not the case with us. We are both each other's inspiration and support system. Tammy also is very active in the blind community, working with young kids' parents, and she also is our president of the National Federation of the Blind in New Orleans. So me being here I give tribute to her for being my support system. So thank you, Tammy. She's sitting right there. Also, I want to thank Ken Vince and the Governor's Office of Disability Affairs for giving me the spotlight and the incentive to push for change and independence for everyone. Also want to thank the National Industry for the Blind and D. Budgewater and our Lighthouse Louisiana staff for giving me the training, the opportunity, and support to enhance my skills to clarify issues and suggest options for people with disabilities. Also want to thank Eva Hurst, who is our ADA administrator for the Mayor's Office in New Orleans, and the MAC Committee for creating a toolkit that helps us build a more robust platform that will widen the path for inclusion, education, and equity for people of all abilities to be able to succeed. I would like to congratulate all the award recipients today for doing an outstanding job. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, change is constant, but it doesn't come easy. Thank you very much.
The next award is the Patsy Barrett Memorial Award. Patsy Barrett was a human rights activist, and she initiated the Gold Awards in 1982 to recognize people who work for equality, justice, and dignity for people with disabilities. Ms. Barrett was also involved in policy development at the national level, and she worked with leaders who helped formulate the Americans with Disabilities Act into federal law. Now I would like to welcome Barbara Rice from Goodwill, North Louisiana, to introduce the award recipient.
I get to introduce my best friend today, so it's a good day. I have to read it, though, to make sure I get it right, because otherwise I'll hear about it. Lynn has immersed herself into our community in every community she has lived in, working for 3 separate nonprofits since moving to Louisiana in 2007. She's always advocated for community change and the underdog. In 2010, as the chief administrator of Providence House, when the YWCA domestic violence shelter closed, she helped ensure those services would not cease in our community and spearheaded the fundraising drive to help initiate a new shelter and expand the services. While the chief operating officer at United Way of Northwest Louisiana, Lynn was instrumental in helping bring back the 211 services to Northwest Louisiana, which had been unanswered locally since 2013. Since joining Goodwill Industries of North Louisiana as the Director of Workforce Development, Lynn researched and wrote 3 separate Louisiana Department of Correction community incentive grants, all which partner with several nonprofit organizations and probation and parole to help high-risk, high-need individuals re-enter our community successfully. Not happy to only serve in her job, Lynn can be found volunteering, advocating, or organizing events. I'm not sure she knows the word no. As a community leader, she has spoken several times to our Shreveport and Bossier City political officials on the Louisiana Alice Report, which sheds powerful insight into racial injustices and the issues of the working poor families in our area that they're facing today. Lynn does this with a passion and smile on her face, in spite of her having FSH muscular dystrophy and being permanently in a wheelchair. This has made her a strong advocate for disability rights, prejudices, equality, and she can often be found talking to public officials regarding issues she encounters or sees. Lynn is also a fellow ice hockey fan, and catching games with her is a highlight that everyone should try to do. It's an adventure. I truly believe Lynn is the perfect recipient of the Patsy Barrett Memorial Award, and I'm honored to introduce her today.
out the card. I just do everything crazy, don't I? So I'm really honored and blessed to be here today among a lot of you in the audience. Some of you I know personally through the years, and I'm glad to see some really familiar faces in the crowd. I feel you're all champions, and that's what we need in our community and in our state right now. Unfortunately, most of my family couldn't be with me today, but I brought my family. That's what I call them, my family. My friends that really are my family. My colleagues, my bosses, thank you for coming. This really means a lot to me. The governor, of course, had to leave, but a lot of what I've done is at a statewide level, and I wish he would have heard some of that, because I think it's important for him to be reinforced of what he's done in his 8 years. Candy, your team rocks. Lillian, I said to my boss, when you think I'm great, you got to see her. She's a rock star. I truly believe who I am is because of my disability. Nobody really chooses to be disabled. You're either born with it or it happens. And all of us, it's going to happen at some point. Our body's going to fall apart. I think God helped me along this path to really find who I was. I always wondered what life would be like if I was not disabled and diagnosed in 1993. Would I still be the workaholic I am, David? Would I be as happy as I am, adventurous, spontaneous, adventurous? I sneak people into hockey games and we get really low seats for $100, right, Barbara? Would it make me just as passionate that I am today? I always say to people that being diagnosed actually was the best day of my life. I didn't think that at the time. In 1993, I was one of those people that said, you're going to die. Because at that time, they didn't know much about the type of muscular dystrophy I had. And here I am, 40-some years later. I'm still trooping along. And I really do think it's the best day of my life. It's really changed who I was. It's changed my passion. I had a bucket list before the bucket list movie ever came out. It really changed the way I looked in life, because tomorrow none of us know what's going to happen. I truly believe this could impact each of you as well if you just change your philosophy. I'm a half glass full all the time person. Yes, I do get discouraged. When I couldn't get out of bed this week, I was pretty sad because my husband, who by the way is hopefully watching from Memphis right now. I love you, baby. He's the real winner. He could have walked away. He didn't. He stayed by my side every single day. And he makes me who I am today. When I read a little bit about Patsy Barrett, man, I'll just tell you, I was inspired. I always said if I ever won the lottery, I would go to D.C. and I would become an advocate to change the ADA laws. So this award really meant a lot when I read about it, because I don't think I need the lottery now. I think just having this award has changed my drive, because the ADA is 30 years old and there's a lot of things that need to be changed and updated. You like that, right? You actually helped me get my van at Louisiana Tech, so I thank you so much. Part of some of the things else I want to do is Melissa with LRS. We got a long way to go, but you know what? We're on the right path. We need to make LRS a little bit stronger for all the people in the state. There's a lot of buzzwords right now going around the state and across this nation about DEI, but it's not a black-white race issue. It is about equity and inclusion as well. And I think we have to remember that as we move forward and not make it a buzzword. I'm going to end with the Stephen Hawking story. He once said that, he's a celebrity and he can't go anywhere because of his disability. He can't just put on a hat and gloves and cover up because his wheelchair always spotlighted who he was. Well, I don't want any of us in the room to spotlight, be hidden. I want us to all be spotlighted, to be the champions we are. Because if we continue this path, we will get stronger. So I need each of you to take action every day, to stand up, to make a difference, and really be the person that you need to be for people like me, like you, and like the people we don't know in this state. Thank you.
Greetings. The next award is the Volunteer of the Year. This award is given in recognition of extraordinary service by a volunteer or organization that has substantially enhanced the opportunities of Louisiana, for people with disabilities to use their skills and develop their potential as a member of society. Now I'd like to welcome Dr. Maureen Mayfield to introduce the award recipient.
Back again. Don't I have some amazing friends? I'm very blessed. So it's with great pleasure that I introduce you our Volunteer of the Year, Mrs. Kathleen Canino. For the past 4 years, Kathleen has offered her services as an unpaid advocate to families of students with disabilities across the state. She has spent hundreds, if not thousands, of hours reviewing student evaluations, IEPs, progress reports, and behavioral data, and advising parents who are often lost in the acronym-filled world of special education. She then either physically attends or Zooms into IEP meetings to advocate for students, especially when a more restricted environment is being proposed without first providing needed supports and services. To effectively advocate for students, Kathleen has become extremely knowledgeable of the provisions of IDEA and the ADA, as well as all the regulations in Louisiana's bulletins, OCR Dear Colleague letters, and court cases, which she then shares with parents on social media. Her expertise in behavioral supports, especially for students with autism, is extensive, and she shares that expertise freely with parents and district staff. I have personally Zoomed into IEP meetings with her and have witnessed her passion for our most vulnerable students. Her suggestions are always research-based and positive, as well as aligned with our state and federal laws. As she often says, parents should not have to become experts in special education law to ensure that their child is receiving a free and appropriate education in the least restrictive environment. Instead, she has become that expert for them. Kathleen's advocacy has not stopped at attending IEP meetings without charge, however. She frequently speaks at her district school board meetings to make sure that the needs of the children with disabilities are kept front and center. And she is currently in a runoff election for her school board seat in District 2 in St. Tammany Parish. So if you know anybody that lives there, please tell them to vote Camino. Kathleen also meets periodically with Superintendent Brumley and other LDOE staff to discuss ways to improve the provision of special ed services in Louisiana districts, and she has testified many times before the House and Senate Ed committees. Kathleen was instrumental in the passage of Act 456, as the governor mentioned earlier, which requires districts to install video cameras in self-contained classrooms upon parental request. And this statute is so important because it gives a voice to our children who can't go home and tell their parents what happened at school today. This year, Kathleen worked with legislators to allocate $8 million in the funding, which has now paid for those cameras to be put in those special ed classrooms. While Kathleen has advocated for many children and for numerous issues affecting our children, one thing is always a constant in her efforts. She truly wants to improve our public school system for students with disabilities. Her support of special ed teachers and paras, including paying them what they are worth and giving them the training and the supplies they need, is as strong as her support for parents and students. I have personally learned so much about our parents' perspective in the years I have had the privilege of knowing Kathleen, and I am a better advocate because of her. In everything she does, the welfare of the children involved is her guiding light, and she consistently shines this light on the issues and not on herself. Her passion, generosity, and compassion for others is as strong as her humility. Kathleen never makes it about herself. Please welcome our Volunteer of the Year, Mrs. Kathleen Community.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mayfield. So at first I want to say hi, Mom, because she's watching at home, and Sophia, Kate, and Noah, my son and daughter. I thank you for this honor. Thank you to my son, Noah. Sorry, I wasn't going to do this. Thank you to my son, Noah, who made me brave enough to come and do this. Because one thing I do hate is speaking in front of a lot of people. So he is the reason that I found a voice, and I am his voice now until he can advocate for himself. And I especially want to say thank you to my husband. He's the reason that I am able to do this. He's taken on a lot so that I can advocate for our children with disabilities and individuals with disabilities, and I really appreciate that. He's never with me, so people I think don't think he exists, but he is here today. And I want to say thank you to Dr. Mayfield and Jody and Michelle, Anna. Thank y'all for the nomination. And thank you to a lot of people in this room who constantly give me advice and guidance and their knowledge that they have earned or learned. They have many more years than I do and know far more and are graceful enough to share that with me so that I can advocate for children with disabilities. And this award really belongs to all the individuals who are brave enough and who came to the Capitol and told their stories year after year. It wasn't a first year thing. It took 4 years to get the cameras and the funding. So thank you to all those families, to the DD Council for showing up year after year and putting up with me year after year. I really appreciate it, and I'm very humbled by this award. Thank you.
The next award is the April Dunn Youth of the Year Award. April Dunn was the senior coordinator in the Governor's Office of Disability Affairs and chairperson of the Developmental Disabilities Council. April was a vocal and respected advocate and leader. She advocated on many issues, including education, employment, health care, home and community-based services, housing, transportation, and recreation. She was known for her ability to share her experience as a person with a disability in a way that was very impactful and led to many laws and policies benefiting people with disabilities. Now I would like to welcome Amber Harris to introduce the award recipient.
Hello, my name is Amber Harris, and I am a school psychologist. I'm a professor of psychology at ULM, but of all my titles I have, my best one is being mom. And so I am the mother of Garrison and his two brothers, which has been my most fun adventure. When Garrison was first diagnosed with autism, very shortly after, when everything was still being digested and still things were just very raw, I attended the Lessard Conference in New Orleans, and actually our very own baby Cole Zola was a Lessard facilitator at that time. And even being a supposed expert, when it hits home when your own child is diagnosed, you re-examine everything that you think that you know. And I'll never forget, I went to a baby session on self-determination. And what self-determination means, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, it means that every person is valued, that they are respected as an individual, that their goals, their dreams for their lives are supported, their decision-making to work towards those life goals are supported and valued. And who doesn't want that, right? Don't we all want self-determination and to be valued? So I knew as soon as I heard baby speak, this was going to be my parenting philosophy. This was the extra thing that I needed to be able to support him the best way that we could. And so we started from jump, actually. Many students start to learn these skills at the age of transition around 15 years old in education. That's when we start teaching them. But for Garrison, we started having him be a part of his IEP meeting in first grade. And whenever the team would try to just direct all of their communication to me, I would even correct them and say, this is his IEP. Can you make sure that you're explaining that to him, or can you talk to him? And it was that experience of being respected and being part of those meetings that were about him. He was the expert in the room, and a table full of supposed experts like me. It was really Garrison that knew more about himself, right? So after years of being respected and valued, and what he has to say being valued, when he was 15, when most students would just now be learning these skills, Garrison went on his 15th birthday to the House Health and Welfare Committee, and he testified on a bill, and he told those legislators, I am what early intervening services look like, and this is why you need to pass this bill and require screening for autism by age 3, so that other people like me can get the benefit of early intervention like I did. And I just could not be more proud of him. We volunteer with Autism Society of North Louisiana, and when we work tables at different fairs and things, of course, the expert in the room, right? Mom, school psychologist, college professor, being at a podium behind a microphone, this is my comfortable spot. I want to get up and I want to say all the things and tell the parents everything and talk to these families and pass on all the knowledge. And here really in the last year, and what prompted me to nominate him for this was I had to step back when we go to those events, because Garrison has stepped forward and he's using that voice and he's telling parents how to get their children screened and why early intervention is so important for their development. And I'm not as needed. What I need to do at this point is elevate his voice. And so I'm going to do that right now by inviting him to the podium. I will say, of all the things, all my experiences, this child has taught me more about autism than any textbook ever could. And I'm so incredibly proud of him.
Yeah, so as you can tell, a podium may be her comfort spot, but it's definitely not mine. Yeah, thanks for the award. Hello, my name is Garrison St. Martin, as you know. I am a self-advocate and volunteer with the Autism Society of North Louisiana. I want to thank the Governor's Office of Disability Affairs for this award. It is an honor to be here. So this is the April Dunn Award. I learned about her by watching videos of her testimony and listening to my stories that my mom told me. She was kind of speaking very well. Anyways, so yeah, that was really impressive, the impact she had on others. Really nice woman. I hope that my advocacy can have the same level of impact on getting kids early intervention. I know there are many disability advocates in the room, and I want to thank you for your advocacy. I also want to challenge you who are allies to always remember to include and lift up the voice of those who are actually living with disabilities. All voices matter, whether they speak like me, come from a keyboard, or through a person's hand sign. They live the experience. They have life experience and should be heard. Thank you.
The next award is the Distinguished Merit Award. This award is given in recognition of extraordinary service by an individual, organization, or firm working in the disability field that has consistently presented opportunities in Louisiana for people with disabilities to utilize their capabilities in achieving full participation in society. Now I would like to welcome Mary Kay Fountain to introduce the award recipient.
Kathy Dwyer's advocacy started 45 years ago when her daughter Jen was born with significant disabilities. We met in 2019 at the Jefferson Parish Regional Advisory Committee meeting. After speaking up for over 3 years about the lack of dental care for adults with IDD, like my brother Tommy, Kathy was the first person who really understood my concerns because of similar experiences she had with her daughter Jen. Knowing how the system works and where help was needed, Kathy proposed at a state advisory committee meeting that a dental task force be formed to address the lack of dental care for adults with IDD. Using her advocacy contacts, Kathy invited key stakeholders to join this task force. She worked with OCDD, Medicaid, the Louisiana Dental Association, LSU Dental School of Dentistry, ARC of Louisiana, Healthy Blue, Dental Quest, Dr. Frank Martello, family members, and many others to identify the barriers and solutions to this issue. Utilizing her skills and experience, she compiled the final Dental Task Force report submitted to the Department of Health that included research about the lack of dental care with recommended solutions. She developed a fact sheet, wrote a position statement that was endorsed by over 30 local, state, and national organizations, and worked with Lisa Staples from LSU Dental Health School to create an infographic that not only demonstrated the need for comprehensive dental services, but also the potential cost savings to Louisiana. Kathy shared this information with advocacy organizations, families, and key legislators. Representative Rhonda Butler, having experienced the same thing with her own son recently at that time, became the advocate for new legislation, which passed unanimously. Believing it was crucial to have a competent and well-prepared dental workforce, Kathy looked for ways to include training in basic positive behavior intervention and supports, so practitioners would be more successful when treating these unique clients. She worked with Dr. Jacob Dent to develop a continuing education proposal which included the training that was submitted to the Louisiana Dental Association Board of Directors. She met with Dr. Steve Morgan, president of the Dental Association, asking for their assistance to compile a list of dentists who will serve the IDD population after receiving continuing education in special needs dentistry, so it could be shared with family and caregivers. She met with the LSU School of Dentistry leadership, encouraging them to enhance their curriculum, stressing the importance of including positive behavior intervention and supports, as well as a parent-caregiver component. She connected Dr. Dent with the Regional Family Helping Families Resource Center to provide statewide training for parents and caregivers in oral hygiene best practices. She connected Dr. Dent and the Dental Association with OCDD leadership for collaboration on providing training for the dental workforce by 2023. Over the past 3 years, Kathy served as co-chair and chair of the Dental Task Force, 2 years as chair of Jefferson Parish's Regional Advisory Committee, and 2 years as chair of OCDD's State Advisory Committee. I'm not alone in my admiration. Karen Scallon of Special Needs and Parent Support Services of Louisiana said she is overwhelmed when she thinks of the thousands of people Kathy's work will benefit for years to come. Mary Jacob, Executive Director of Family Help and Families of Greater New Orleans, says that Kathy shared emergency resources for individuals with disabilities through her social media group, even when she and her daughter Jen were evacuating during Hurricane Ida, and that Kathy is a beacon of light for others. Sharon DeVasco with Team Dynamics said Kathy demonstrates selflessness by devoting her time, talents, and efforts to the IDD community. Angela Shockley, an RN and OCDD staff member, says she has witnessed Kathy's service over 20 years to the community by volunteering her time to speak to family medicine residents and utilize her knowledge of systems and resources to assist those needing to navigate and learn how to better support their loved ones with IDD. Sue Bordelon, a parent of an adult child with IDD, said when parents of children and adults with disabilities need help, Kathy is a godsend. And Tara Rosenkrantz, current chair of Jefferson Parish Regional Advisory Committee, a parent of a young disabled child, stated Kathy is an inspiration, a positive force in the advocacy community, and an example for those just getting started. It is my pleasure to have nominated Kathy Dwyer for the 2022 Gold Distinguished Merit Award.
This is Jenny, my rock. Thank you, Governor Edwards. I'm sorry you had to leave so early, but I certainly appreciate all the work and support you have given the developmental disabilities community. Thank you, Bambi and KJ and staff of the Governor's Office for this wonderful event and all the support you provide us as families. And congratulations to my fellow award recipients for receiving the recognition you so well deserve. Also, thank you, Barry Kay, Mary Jacob, Karen Scallon, Sue Bordelon, Angela Shockley, Sharon Del Visco, and Tara Rosenkrantz for your thoughtful and heartfelt nominations. I am deeply honored and so very humbled to have been chosen to receive such a prestigious award, especially to have been nominated and selected by so many of my wonderful peers whom I admire so very much. And I want to thank all of my fellow Dental Task Force members. Without you, the dental legislation that we so successfully passed, thankfully with Representative Rhonda Butler's help, would not have been possible, and our loved ones would not be able to receive the comprehensive dental services they need and deserve. Last but not least, thank you, Representative Butler. Thank you for being our legislative champion to make sure our loved ones receive the dental care they need and deserve. Since being notified of this award, I've been reflecting on where I was years ago when Jen was born and how I got here 45 years later. I started off as just a mom who naturally loves her child dearly and would do anything to make sure she was safe, healthy, and loved. The love came easy. There is so much love about my dear, sweet, and charmingly amusing and entertaining Jen. But the safe and healthy parts were the real hurdles. As Jen's mom, I was presented with many unexpected challenges, numerous doctor appointments, one who felt a corrective surgery was pointless because of Jen's disabilities. Even though the surgery could have helped Jen walk. There were frequent seizures, more surgeries, and Jen not sitting up, crawling, or talking when she was expected to. Thank God my mom was by my side. So I pushed for answers, not knowing I was advocating for Jen and her peers. We were referred to an early intervention program at LSU Health Sciences Center, one of the first in the state. Then Jen Dad and I separated and eventually divorced, so I needed a job to support us and was blessed to be offered one at LSU. I also needed childcare and finally found one that would accept Jen, but they changed their mind weeks later, claiming Jen would be an insurance risk. I was blessed with my dad's work ethics, so I worked hard and moved up the ranks, learning what I could about best practices on behalf of the DD population. I was mentored by some of the best, such as Callie Cooper, Judy Martindale, Marsha Loebman, Pat Snyder, Bob Crow, Jane Everson, and Sue Killam. After Katrina and having served 25 years at LSU, I retired and was blessed with another job offer at Families Helping Families of Greater New Orleans, and later at the Autism Society of Greater New Orleans. Once more, I was blessed to learn from some of the best, such as Rose Gilbert, Mary Jacob, Lauren Nada, Phoebe Bodie, Karen Scallon, and so many more. I was especially blessed to work alongside so many wonderful advocates who were family members like me, who understood the challenges, the disappointments, and the priceless rewards. I firmly believe I wouldn't have been selected to receive this award if it weren't for so many of you I've met along the way who taught me and supported me. For that, I am so very grateful, and thank you. How could I not pay it forward and share my blessings with as many families as I can? I am particularly blessed God chose me to walk with Jen on her path through life. For it is Jen who motivates me, who guides me to this day, so that I can advocate for the services she and her peers deserve and support my fellow families on their precious but sometimes confusing journey. I love you dearly, Jen. Thank you for being my daughter, and I dedicate this award to her.
Let's give another round of applause for all of our award winners. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you to all the participants in the program. You stuck with the time schedule. Good round of applause for that. And I just want to make sure that you all note in the program, towards the back, the list of all the gold award winners from 2009 through today. And as you can see, these are giants in the disability community, many people that I have the privilege of knowing. And you are among them now. All of our winners are among these people who have done so much within the disability community and within our state. So I just want to thank all of you again for being a part of this special day, and we'll conclude the program and wish you all safe travels. Thank you.